All right, welcome back to the Woodward Sports Network, Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. We appreciate every single one of you guys for sticking it out with us here today. Even though we had a late start, we're locked in. We're ready to roll here. We've got a huge show for you guys, and if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys hit that like button. Let's get over 50 here. We're a little behind, so let's get to 50. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get into it though, Broder.
Bro,
Michigan. Breaking
accepting
news.
that suspension.
Yes, Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, they accepted the suspension from the Big Ten, and it seemed like, Broder, and I'll let you take it here a little bit after this, but it seems like with it being kind of a mutual thing, you could either say, I hear the side like Spenny said it, like, oh, they did it because there's actually proof that they were doing something wrong, or you could probably just look at it and say, hey, the Big Ten, like, they didn't want to go through this legal battle.
Thank you.
Because they knew exactly what was going to happen. The fact that you said a day ago that they had 3 different like places around the country, around the state, one in Birmingham,
The law
in Ann
firms
Arbor,
that represent
law firms
them,
in Ann Arbor, the biggest one in the country. It seemed like the Big Ten was like a little bit over their heads, and they were like, all right, if you guys just do this, we'll lay off you, we'll end the investigation, you guys deal with the NCAA, and let's just go our separate ways.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many layers to this. It's hard. We got to see it still play out. I think in the short term, it's a loss for Michigan, losing their coach in the biggest game of the year against Ohio State. But in the long term, I think it's a win for Michigan, and it might even be a win for the Big Ten too. To be determined if it's a win for the commissioner Tony Petitti. But they didn't just back down. They didn't just accept their suspension. They agreed with the Big Ten. Hey,
yes,
we'll agree. We'll accept this extension if you drop your investigation against us. A week ago, the Big Ten said that they still have they still withhold the ability to seek further investigation, and further evidence comes out, they can penalize Michigan further. The type of energy that the Big Ten was bringing to this, the angst that the members forcing on Tony Petito to go after Michigan, the optics just continue to look bad. And as soon as it hits the court system, all that evidence becomes public. All that evidence has to come out at some point. If Michigan thinks they have something on other Big Ten schools, they can bring that out. They can call whoever to the stand. And this is long term, over the course of a couple months, which an actual case would take, not just the TRO. It looks like you have a question.
It just something popped in my head, like the statement that you were putting there and what you were saying there. It just popped in my head when you said like all of this evidence will hit the courts, all of that. Guess what tomorrow was? The court hearing.
Yes.
That was tomorrow. This isn't like a thing to where Michigan was like, oh, they have too much on us, let's take a step back. No, Michigan went out and hired all these different law firms. They were ready to put their head down, and they were like, let's go head to head. We're battling you right now. They didn't care about anything else. The people that took a step back, it feels like, is the Big Ten.
Yes.
And the only people, like I see a lot of people, Michigan State people on Twitter and like Ohio State people that actually, some people tweeted me, like, I don't even know, like, you're Ohio State. Leave me alone. You've lost to in Michigan State. What do you do? Like, but it's just, you guys are sitting here using these excuses saying, oh, there's actually something going on. Michigan backed off because they knew the Big Ten was going to get them. No, Michigan hired 3 law firms. They were ready to go to battle, and it was most likely the Big Ten. I'm not going to say it's a fact. Most likely the Big Ten that was like, all this evidence is going to come out tomorrow. Michigan probably had all this evidence about Big Ten schools. They were getting ready to go here.
Yeah.
Big Ten probably would have blown up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the commissioner, Tony Petitti, was like, oh, what did we do?
Not going to happen.
That's where I kind of look at it. Like, and when we spoke to Easy in the back, there was that realization back there when you told him that they just canceled the investigation. They weren't done with it. They suspended him. They didn't even finish the investigation.
They barely even started.
Yes.
They went off of what the evidence that the NCAA provided to them. They then took it and used a sportsmanship policy within the Big Ten rules to suspend the head coach of the University of Michigan, which just so happens to be Jim Harbaugh.
Detroit Dabber said, that's quite the spin, Booner. Hey.
No, it could be.
That's what I'm sitting up here for.
There are so many directions, and Michigan may not. This isn't over for Michigan either. They still have the NCAA investigation. This doesn't exactly look great for them, but they just got the Big Ten Conference off their back for the extent of this. So now Jim Harbaugh has to miss the Ohio State game, but he can coach in the Big Ten Championship should they make it there. If they make it to the college football playoff, he'll be able to coach there. They can then win a national championship and deal with the NCAA after that, because even if the NCAA finishes their investigation tomorrow, Michigan still has 90 days to respond to that. 90 days to provide their own evidence, whatever they want to rebuttal with. They have 90 days to do that. So that'll go after the NCAA.
The NCAA does a correct investigation. They actually go through it before they do anything to it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
And they don't exactly love Harbaugh either, but I think they're staying within the rules a little bit more. And even to this point, and I am actually of the belief that if you're the head coach, if you're the CEO of a business, you are responsible for knowing everything. And Jim Harbaugh actually wrote, or that was in a Bo Schembechler book, saying that. And so I get that, but the NCAA and all the evidence that the Big Ten had, it didn't say that they found anything on Jim Harbaugh's connection to college.
That is a fact, actually.
Yes.
Now, Andrew Jones, he said that's a full-on conspiracy theory, Booner. They realized they didn't have a leg to stand on, otherwise they would have fought.
False.
Andrew, please send me the article. Show me where there was actually somewhere that stated Michigan backed down. Yes, they took the suspension, but that could have just been a mutual agreement to where the Big Ten and Michigan said, hey, listen, we have this on you guys. We have this. We're ready for tomorrow. They wouldn't have gone out and just gotten 3 law firms if they weren't ready to go tomorrow. The night before, and Michigan's just all of a sudden like, no, it's like, this is all conspiracy theories until there's actually paperwork and like they could show us. Yes, I might be a Michigan fan and spinning it a certain way into our favor. That's just me. Broder's more of the beat reporter, more logical of it. I'm the more. I
still have a bias, but I'm trying to be unbiased.
You could, well, I'm going to be. I'll fight till the end, even if you show me the paperwork. I'm going to go. I don't even care. I could be dead wrong. I'm going to still fight.
I don't take this as a backing down because, like, even if they had gone to court and lost this hearing, they didn't get the restraining order accepted by the courts. The result is exactly what they accepted, minus the fact that the Big Ten can still continue to investigate them, still be a thorn in their sides, a pest. They removed all that. So I think they lost this battle for the sake of winning the war. They want to go out. They now regain some of that power. Also, the Big Ten, the optics look a little better. They do feel like, it feels like, especially today, like they kind of came out on top. Michigan back down to Harbaugh. But when you think about it, this suspension, one game, it is the biggest game of the year. But we'll call it one game now left because I'm not really worried about Maryland.
This is the thing, Broder.
What?
Like Andrew John, I'm gonna keep going with your comments here. He said they filed an injunction, they withdrew it less than a week later. Listen, I'm telling you, just because they withdrew it doesn't mean they were the ones that stepped back.
That's a tactic. It's a tactic.
The thing is, the Big Ten could have kept investigating this after they suspended him, and they could have gone to court. They could have kept going and kept going. They agreed that they're completely done with this. They're saying we're done. NCAA is already investigating it. They can handle it. We're done. They wouldn't have said we're completely done if Michigan didn't agree with that. If they didn't say they were completely done and they were like, hey, we're going to keep investigating, Michigan would be there tomorrow. I promise you that.
It's a tactic. And that's their leverage they had against the Big Ten. Hey, we're gonna go down.
We're gonna cost you a lot of money.
We're gonna fight it. Even if we lose, we're gonna cost a lot of money. We're gonna fight. This is gonna be in the headlines every single morning, continued through the Big Ten championship, through the national championship.
You're gonna lose. Yeah, maybe they went there and said, hey, we're leaving the Big Ten if you guys don't settle on this with us.
Could be an empty threat. Could be a real threat.
Yeah.
It's a difficult situation, but the last thing the Big Ten members, the last thing Big Ten ADs or presidents want is the Big Ten just getting slandered. Hey, Jalen, there we go. The last thing that they want is the Big Ten to be in the negative headlines. So the whole concept of like governance in college athletics was at stake here. When you think of a commissioner sort of out of nowhere, and yes, there are allegations and stuff, but before the NCAA actually confirmed wrongdoings, was done with the investigation, they said, wait, actually, there's a lot of pressure right now. We'll just suspend you in the middle of the season. We'll affect your team, your coach. We'll affect this season, and we'll deal with everything. We'll continue to deal with it later. That opens up the door to some bad possibilities in the future of if pressure is put on whatever way. You can just make these moves without evidence. And without evidence.
And this is what I'll leave it at.
Yeah.
Let's all, and I'm sure everyone in the chat, everyone listening, we can all come to an agreement on this, whether you like Michigan or not. Ryan Day, the scumbag, that scumbag piece of you know what. He got what he wanted, right? He did all of this. He opened the jar of pickles. And he opened it up so this can all happen. And guess what? He got what he wanted. It's now him versus Sharon Moore.
I actually think he comes out probably as the biggest loser in all this.
He does. And guess what's going to happen? I tweeted this out a little bit ago, or earlier today. I tweeted it out. I said, listen, Ryan Day, you're going to look like the biggest loser from this because you're still going to lose to Michigan. And on your drive home, all the way back to Columbus, Ohio,
Ring, ring.
You're going to get a phone call and they're going to fire you. You could just lost to Michigan 3 straight times, probably missing a college football playoffs, and you will be fired on the way home after you lose to Michigan. And I'm sure all of us in this room, I'm sure all of the chat, all of the Michigan State fans, I'm sure we can all kumbaya that together there, and we can all be friends about that.
You could argue that Harb's absence from the game, from that game on November 25th against that state down south, you can argue that makes a bigger statement anyway. If Harbaugh's not on the field and they win, there you go. And I'm not going to use this as an excuse, but people will. If they lose the game, they didn't have their head coach.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
right.
I still think they're going to win. But hey, there was our rant for the day on that.
We had to talk about it. We had to go over it real quick. When we come back, we're gonna talk Chicago Bears a little bit. Game week. We're gonna jump into Justin Fields. Have a couple videos from Aaron Glenn and I think maybe just Aaron Glenn about this defense against Justin Fields. See how we feel about this matchup. Is it a little bit too? Are we overlooking it?